Rising rents and soaring home costs are putting many Somerville residents at risk of eviction and displacement and possible homelessness. Local organizations are working and struggling, along with residents, to keep renters in their homes. Reporter Jeanette Orehe reports on living on the downside of gentrification in Somerville.
Who knows somebody who has had to leave Somerville because their rent was too high? Who knows of a business in Union Square that went out of business recently? It's not there anymore. Yeah, that's a lot of hands.
Residents, businesses, and community members in Somerville have been working together to fight displacement. As high-end developments continue to be built across the city and existing housing and rental prices soar, many are struggling to stay in the place they call home.
We need to be looking at how we do development without displacing our current residents. And there's been a lot of displacement. There's been a lot of people at really every income level, from the very lowest right up through the higher middle income levels, who've been forced out of the city.
Organizations like the Community Action Agency of Somerville and Somerville Homeless Coalition have been seeing a rising number of families coming to them for one common reason.
A lot of the people coming to us, coming to them for assistance is because they can't meet the rising rent costs. Someone's lease comes to an end, there's a new lease start date with an increase in the rent, and it just becomes more and more difficult.
A lot of families in Somerville are paying upwards of 50% of their income towards rent, some more than 80 or 90%, and just barely getting by.
For Somerville alone, housing costs are 35% higher than the state average.
What it costs to live in Somerville these days for a family of 4, just to pay their rent, just to pay their bills on time, not to save money or take vacations or anything like that, just to get by, is roughly $70,000 a year. And so if you're making less than that, you're either going into debt or relying on government assistance or the generosity of your neighbors somehow. If you're making just a little bit more than that, you might be doing okay, but you're still economically vulnerable these days.
The rising rent costs across the city of Somerville has been an obstacle for many, including the organizations that provide assistance to those who are struggling to make their rent payments every month and in turn are at risk of becoming homeless.
We lease about over 40 apartments now throughout the community, and we're a tenant like anybody else. So if we're not able to continue to meet those rising costs, then we will have to give up those apartments. But the ones who really suffer are the people who are living in those apartments, i.e., our clients.
Organizations in the city of Somerville work together to keep people off the streets all year round in various ways.
We focus on maintaining the housing of people who are at imminent risk of homelessness, so people who are in the eviction process, people who are having their utilities shut off, people who are living in apartments with bad conditions, or people who have had a significant loss of income and need help.
Across the city in Davis Square, Somerville Homeless Coalition provides adult and family shelters as well as healthy food options for families in need. The organization also has 3 caseworkers who work with homeless families and individuals in the Somerville and Arlington areas. One important aspect of preventing homelessness in the city is educating tenants of their rights.
A lot of people have rents that are landlords who are trying to increase the rents or are trying to evict them because they're planning on selling. And one of the most important things to know is if your landlord says that they're evicting you and you don't have a place to go, you do not need to leave. They should know that any rent increase can be a negotiation, and if the landlord is telling you to go, you have legal rights.
Members of Union United have been coming together to bring awareness to displacement, and downpours did not stop them from speaking out. A rally scheduled for Union Square Plaza was moved to St. Joseph Church. The group is among those trying to prevent displacement, as it happened to Marie Duget.
I'm here tonight because Somerville is my home. That's where I spent most of my time. My friends are being displaced, and I was displaced too. I didn't want to leave Somerville, and I hope that every day I can come back. I said that because Somerville is my hometown, is the only city in this country I've ever lived in.
Somerville Alderman Matt McLaughlin attended the rally and along with other aldermen has been pushing to increase affordable housing requirements in new buildings from 12.5% to 20% across the city. He urged residents to come together and make their voices heard.
If we don't have people power, if we don't have the people telling our elected officials, this is a need, not a want. The developers, the consultants, they want things, we need things, and we vote in the city. I'm a voter as well as an elected official. But we need to let people know, let your elected officials know that this is not going to stand.
Somerville is an amazingly tight community. For, considering its size, we're nearly, 80,000 people living in the city. You can't know everybody, but it is in some ways it's a small town, and people do know a lot of folks, and there's networks of support everywhere. Anybody can get help here if they reach out for it. And we certainly, CAS will welcome anybody who walks in the door. I know virtually every agency in the city will do that. So I'd say we're really lucky in that regard.
For Somerville Neighborhood News, I'm Jeanette Origel.
You can contact the Community Action Agency of Somerville, or CAS, at cassomerville.org or by calling them at 617-623-7370. And for the Somerville Homeless Coalition, contact them at homelesscoalition.org. Call them 617-623-7165.